Hi, everyone. I just wanted to take a moment to talk about truth tables. And all truth tables are they're a visual representation of um, really the truth values of different statements. And we're kind of taking away and the context here. We're kind of backing ourselves out and looking at it as just strictly the symbolic notation. We're saying what could happen in general if we were given a statement, a second statement, and then we had to combine them. So really, the point of this is it's just showing us all the possible combinations for a couple of statements. And there's a couple things to consider and to pay attention to as we're going through this. So first of all, the main thing that you need to notice is that the more statements you have, the larger the truth table is. Now that kind of sounds like it's obvious, but I just want to be clear on what I'm talking about here. So here we only have, P, right? We're only dealing with two. Now we have P and Q. Now we're dealing with 4 rows here. We have P, Q, and R. We have 8 rows. If we were to have P, Q, R, and S, we would have 16 rows. All right? Because we have to have half of the cases where they're true and half the cases where each statement is false. Okay? There's a couple other pieces of information that we should consider here. You'll notice when we're looking at things like P, right? We've grouped the P truth values together. So P, it's all the trues are together, and then all the falses together. You'll notice with Q, we kind of have sets, right? We have sets of two trues, 2 falses, 2 trues, 2 falses, true, false, true, false. All right. And then when we get into R, then we're following the true, false, true, false, true, false, true, false. So we're really just kind of going and working our way backwards. And the reason we're setting it up this way and choosing to do this is for clarity and for simplicity when we're going across. It's really just to help us keep track. There's nothing stating that I have to do it this way, but for your own personal organization and for my ability to look over what you're doing and make sure that you're doing it correctly, it's a lot easier if you follow this convention, just so that way we don't have any confusion. The other thing about this is you'll notice I kind of picked some of the general ones, right? So P and Q, we've already talked about this. We said it's only true when both of these are true. So once you start getting into compound statements, you have to utilize the information that you already have on the table, right? So when we're looking at P and Q, we're looking over here and saying, okay, well, these two are true. Good. These two, we're looking at these two. We have a true and a false. And remember, when we said and, we said we needed them both true. That's why we're saying this one's false. Same thing here, false, true, false, false. So we're looking at the information that we already have. Similarly, over here, we're looking at P or Q, the disjunction situation. True, 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 right? True, false, still true. True, false, true, still false. And they're only false when we're having false, 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 right? When these two are false. So we're using these two to answer this column, all right? Similarly, we can add negations in, and this is kind of where things can start getting a little bit complicated. So you don't have to make your own row for negations, but you should. It's just going to make your life easier in the long run, because then if I added another row over here, or another column, I should say, and I had, let's pretend we have P and Q, right? Now, if I have not P, or Q here, I can now just look at this column as opposed to looking at this one and going, oh no, wait, I need the opposite now, right? So make sure you're careful when you're organizing these and just have these for conventions. Okay. All right, let's just move on. So again, a few notes, as we said, it'll always be a power of 2, as I had counted, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. So we're never going to go to the 32. Honestly, we're not going to do the 16. We'll do some 8s, but that's the extent of what we're going to do. Organize your tables with the T's. the truths together for the P. Make sure you're just trying to follow that general notation for simplicity and ease. And then also, as always, do the parentheses first, okay? So as you're getting into more complicated truth tables, you're going to end up in situations where you have parentheses around a couple statements. And make sure you have a column for what's inside those statements. And that way you can really, deal with what you're looking at. Okay, so here's a couple examples that we can look at. So look at that. We just kind of addressed what I was talking about with the parentheses, right? So we have P, Q, and R on this first one. Again, we're organizing the tables so that we have all the truths together for the P, then we have the 2 for the Q, and then we're looking over here. And again, all we're doing for this, for P or Q, we're looking at these two columns, right? So we're saying true, 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 false, true, true, false, true, false, true, true, false, true, true, false, 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 false. All right? Nothing crazy. All we're doing is we're just looking at the information that we already have. Now, you'll notice we have in parentheses P or Q and all of that and R. All right? So now, as opposed to me mentally having to do P or Q as I'm doing this whole thing, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at these two, right? So I'm just saying, we could essentially, call this now that we've gotten that, we're going to call it S, right? Okay, so now we have this as S, and we're just replacing it with S. So all we're doing is we're looking at these two, and we're saying S and R, S and R. All right, so we're saying true, 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 false, true, false. Again, this is an and, so whenever both of them are not true, this is false. So true, 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 false, true, false, true, 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 false, true, false, true, false, 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 false. Okay, so you're going to start noticing some patterns as you do more of these, like, kind of frequencies at which things tend to come up and things like that. But ultimately, really what you want to make sure you're doing is you're looking at the other columns you've already made, so you're not thinking, about too many things at once, right? Because if I just gave you, like this one over here, not P and in parentheses Q or not R, trying to do that all in one go, that's too much. However, if you break it down, you can do it. All right. So let's look at some more of these, right? So if we had P and Q, so we have P, Q, then we have not P. See how we're making our own specific column for not P? That way, when we're doing not P and Q, right, we can just look at these two, and I don't have to try and flip these in my head and accidentally make a mistake, all right? Similarly with this one, we have not R. So we just look at the R, we do not R. Then we're doing Q and or not R, right? So luckily Q or not R, that one's a lot easier. We have a lot more truths. Then we have a not P. Notice you could have put it over here, that's fine, but we didn't need it yet, so we didn't bother. Now that we need it, it's nice to put it in here, so that way I'm not, trying to look at this and then again over here, and then it sometimes gets complicated. So it's smart to do it as they come up, all right? So then you could do not P and, and in parentheses, the Q or not R, which you've already done, right? So now it's a matter of just looking at these two columns. You don't have to look anywhere back. You don't have to, start trying to do computations in your head. You're just looking, say, true, false, no, false, true, false, 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 true, false, false, true, 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 false, true, false, true, true, true. All right, and then you can even get into the more complicated ones where there's a lot of parentheses going on, where you're doing this one, you're doing that one. You can negate the whole thing. All right, so you just take what you did and you just flip it, right? You're just flipping it. You're essentially substituting here, and then you can combine these two together. because that's what we were looking for. All right. So let's do one out. Or let's just try it again. If you were to continue on with this, we're just going to fill these in, right? So now we're looking at not Q. So if this is true, now this is false. If this is false, this is now true. We're saying P and Q. P and Q. True, true, true. P and Q. True and false. False. All right. So not Q and P and Q. All right. So again, it's an and. So you need them both to be true. False, false, true, false. True, false, false. So this whole thing is false. This is never going to work out. That is never going to have a truth value of true. All right. Let's make our own now. So if I have P, not P, or not R, let's look at what we need. We actually only have two here. We didn't really start with we didn't have a Q, right? So we don't need to worry about that. P, R. So 1, 2. So this is true, this is true, this is false, this is false. Again, I'm sticking with my conventions. True, false, true, false. Now I need the not of both of them. So I'm going to do not P. So I'm going to look at my P and I'm going to say false, false, true, true. And then I'm going to do my not R. Okay. So I'm going to look at my R and say that was true, now it's false. That was false, now it's true. This was true, now it's false. False, now true. And now I get to finish off and say P or not R. Sometimes it's a little hard to make the table because you never know how much room you're going to need. So false or false, well, that's false. False or true, that's true because one of them just needs to be true. True or false, that's true. True or true, true. Okay, so I hope this helps you out with dealing with truth tables. You're going to get to practice a little bit more, but please reach out if you have any questions.